Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Spilling the Beans. Oh. Excuse me. Alright, right off the bat, I just gotta say, I am pretty exhausted. There were a bunch of things that I had to do at work today, so I had to stay a little later than usual. It's about 9:12 p.m. right now, and, that's not terribly late. Although I'm usually quite tired at this point in time, at least during Monday through Friday, just because of work. But I love my job a lot. The two main things I wanted to talk about today are my job, and also music. I love music a lot. I'm sure I've already talked about how much I love music in past episodes, but I want to go in depth because I feel like there's some things about music people just don't understand, and I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that out in today's episode, so that's gonna be awesome. Well, I guess I'll start out by saying today's actually been a pretty spectacular day. So good. Did anyone else hear that beep, or was that just me? Maybe I got tinnitus from listening to too much music. It was like right as I said something, I heard like this. Okay, anyway. Yeah, and see, this is, so I am something a lot of people don't know, but I don't know if I've talked about this before. An ability I have is perfect pitch. Now, that doesn't mean that I should be like a star musician or performer or something. Perfect pitch means that, if somebody has perfect pitch, they can identify a note just by hearing it. And if somebody says a note, I can produce it without needing like an example note or like any assistance. And so I know me and like there's 3 other people. Joseph, you know who you are, Joseph, if you're listening to this. And McKay, you also know who you are. I think there was a girl from our school named Chantel that also had perfect pitch, but I'm not sure. But, and Trevor, you know who you are. I don't want to say their last names because I don't know if I have permission. But anyway, but I didn't learn that I had perfect pitch until like maybe sophomore year. Because I hadn't heard of it before. And I was able to produce notes without needing assistance, like without needing help. And I'd known I could do that for a while, but I thought everybody could do that. So I took men's choir in 7th grade just because I couldn't play any instruments. And I thought, well, singing's fun, so I'll do that. Ended up loving choir, but in 7th grade, I heard some of my peers singing, and I was like, why can't you just sing this note? Like, why does everybody stink at singing? Why are they doing this? And then I realized, like, being able to, like, sight read music or things like that was easier for me because I have perfect pitch. And it dawned, when I figured out I had perfect pitch, it dawned on me why so many people weren't able to do that. And I was like, oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm like getting angry at these people that are doing their best. I'm like, man, you guys stink, And so, I listened to music as a kid, like in elementary school. One of my favorite, so this is when my mom had a Zune. If anyone even knows what a Zune is, like, good on you. That's like adults now. They'll be like, do you kids know what a Walkman is? I bet you never even heard of a Walkman. That's kind of the stage we are in life, is like, that's how the Zune is now. Like, they even make fun of that in the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Star-Lord's a Walkman gets destroyed, and then he gets a Zune to replace it. I thought that was so hilarious. But anyway, my mom had a Zune, and I have memories of her playing like some Billy Joel, Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins. You know, that one song that's from Top Gun that I've never seen and probably never will. But the music I remember the most, and I think this CD was key into me discovering my favorite kind of music. And it was the Tarzan soundtrack from, you know, the whatever year it came out, 1999 Disney cartoon of Tarzan with Phil Collins singing. I listened to that CD so much as a kid, and Phil Collins is my favorite artist to this day. He's like always been my favorite. I love Phil Collins to death. I'll go into depth why I like certain artists a lot in a bit, but just that's one of my favorite memories of being a kid, is listening to, you know, Phil Collins singing, you know, Strangers Like Me or Two Worlds or Son of Man. That's like my favorite one, Son of Man from Tarzan. Such a good song. But so I just like listened to music as a kid. I kind of learned piano a couple of times. My mom tried to get me into it. I could never like stay fixated on it. I was okay. I remember I was able to play Book of Mormon stories, which granted isn't terribly difficult, but hey, you know, you got to use both hands to play Book of Mormon stories. That's a song we use in that's a song we sing for the kids in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, for anyone that's not a member of that church. But yeah, I didn't really like. I mean, I sang a lot. Just I really liked singing as a kid. I'd watch that old cartoon, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, which sometimes that show can be hilarious, but they'd have like a song in every episode or like at the end of every episode or something. And there was one in particular that I love that song. I thought it was so good. And I just sing it in bed. It was me, can't remember if it was like me in my room and I was alone, or if there was like a sister. I can't remember. But I remember my mom came to me in the morning and was like, I heard you singing last night. I was like all embarrassed, like, oh, I didn't think anyone could hear me. But, you know, I mean, I wasn't too into music. Like I said, I didn't learn any instruments. You know, I wasn't a performer. I didn't do piano recitals or anything. I took choir in 7th grade because I needed the fine arts credit. I didn't want to take drama, and I didn't know any instruments, and band was really expensive, so I took choir instead. And I'm so grateful for choir because, you know, I've learned a lot in choir. Like I love singing. I sing like every day. Like I was singing earlier at work. There was a Rush, or I wasn't singing a Rush song. I try not to soil Rush songs because of my inability to sing high. But I was singing I can't even talk. An Owl City song. I was singing along with it. And if anyone's familiar with the Owl City song Metropolis, I was singing that song at work today. It was awesome. I couldn't hit half those notes, but I was still having a blast, you know, just like vibrato, just like giving it my all. Man, I love singing. Not like in front of people, but you know, just like if I'm vacuuming in a room, or I'm cleaning the bathrooms with the machine and it's loud, you can bet I'll be singing just because it's like covering up. I don't know. Anyway, what was I even talking about? I like singing. Oh, well, I like choir, because I met a lot of my greatest friends through choir. You know, I took junior high choir. I took it in 7th grade. I was like, hey, this is actually really fun. The teacher, Matthew Thornton, he is one of the most amazing people of all time. I don't care what other kids say about him. He is just phenomenal. He changed my life, legitimately changed my life. Matthew Thornton at American Fork Junior High, because he helped me discover my talents for music, And he helped me enjoy music, which has blessed my life in ways that he probably has no idea. I'm so grateful for that. I wish I could convey the amount of gratitude I have for him. He's just a phenomenal human being, you know. I was afraid to like try out for the honor choir in 9th grade. It was like a choir from the 9th grade choir. It was like kids from the 9th grade choir could try out to like be in the honor choir, which like they went on a separate festival and whatnot. It was really fun. And, you know, I was really scared to try out. But Mr. Thornton was like, hey, you know what? It is kind of scary, but, you know, even if you don't make it, you won't regret trying out, because if you don't try out, you'll never know whether or not you would have made it. And so he helped me overcome that fear I had. And I actually did make the honor choir. I'm very grateful for that. Honor choir was a really good experience. But he's just an amazing guy. You can tell he loves what he does. Like, I don't know. If I had, like, he's in my list of like favorite people ever. Like, he's up there with Jimmy Stewart and Mr. Rogers, in my opinion. He's just that awesome. Anyway, I took 7th grade. I liked it. Took it in 9th grade. AF Singers. And remember, all you immatures that are laughing right now, AF stands for American Fork, not the other thing. But I'm going to be honest, like, we were singers AF. Like, we were good. Yeah. Now I'm the one being immature, but anyway. AF Singers was amazing. I met a lot of awesome people. That's when I started to talk to girls, was in AF Singers. Because, you know, I was already an anxious kid, and I was in the midst of puberty. Like, there's no way I was going to talk to girls. But there are a lot of really nice girls in AF Singers I was able to become friends with. I'm still friends with now. And it was a really good experience. And then we left the girls, unfortunately, in sophomore year, and we were back in men's choir. It was men's choir in high school, which was an awesome experience because I have a lot of friends that, I just got hold on. I just got a text that says, bro, this is my new number, fellow dear. Oh, I think this is, Ryan. All right. I'm gonna see if this is Ryan. I was confused for a second. Okay, got it. Anyway, scratch that. Unimportant. Anyway, what was I saying? Sophomore year. Oh yeah, I had a lot of friends that it was their first year taking choir because, you know, they're in high school and they realize, oh, I need some fine arts credits so that I can, graduate high school. And so they took choir because it was like, I'm sure people told them, like, take men's choir, man. It's an easy A. Like, you'll hate it, but it'll be good, man. And so they took it. And I remember at the beginning of the year, we do like voice checks, which is basically like Mrs. Warby goes through each member of the choir individually to find out like what voice part you belong to. And I was bass 2 all 3 years of high school. Pretty much since 7th grade, I was bass 2. Like, my voice changed way before anyone else's. But yeah, we're doing voice checks, and Mrs. Warby's like, because she hasn't, Mrs. Warby, Tracy Warby's the choir instructor at American Fork High School, and also incredible woman. Like, she has also changed my life. She is up there with Mr. Thornton, like, just exceptional human being. Very, very underrated. But, you know, we're doing voice checks, and Mrs. Warby hears me sing, and she's like, ooh, okay. So she starts playing these other notes, and then basically I get to like these really low notes. I'm like, you know, and like just super low. And we go as low as I can go, just like, it's like so breathy. Can you hear that? Low A, I believe that is. Okay, real quick tangent. Like, my hearing has been out of whack, like, the past year or so. Like, the hearing in my left ear is worse than the hearing in my right ear. And so my ears try to compensate, and it, like, totally jacks up my hearing sometimes. And so if I don't have perfect pitch, I have nearly perfect pitch. But anyway, yeah, so I'm hitting all these low notes, and all the guys are like, "Whoa, man, that's so cool, yeah!" Just cheering. I thought that was so hilarious. And all of my friends that hadn't, like Brandon, you know who you are, Brandon. He heard me sing those notes, and he was like, "I had no idea you could even do that." Just because, like, I don't just sing in front of people. And he thought that was hilarious. And so, and men's choir was a blast, you know. I got to know my friend Brian. I got to know my friend John some more, and just a bunch of other people. And then the next year, oh man, this is one of my favorite memories of high school. I was, so we had the chamber choir tryouts. It's like the top choir at the high school. And they have other names for it, you know, they have like the madrigals or other choir names and whatnot. But the chamber choir, that was the goal, you know. I didn't really think I was, you know, qualified to be in chamber. I was like, you know, I like choir. I don't know if like I'm good enough to be in the top choir, you know. But one of my friends was like, dude, you should totally try out. Just try out for fun, man. I was like, you know, yeah, why not? You know, I mean, I'd like to get into the chamber choir eventually. So even if I don't make it junior year, I'll know what to expect so I can make it senior year. And so I tried out for it, you know, and so, I believe it was the next day. So I try out on a Friday after school, and the next day, like the next Saturday, I was surprised by so I woke up, it was like 5 in the morning, like 5:30 or something, and a bunch of guys wearing these creepy masks just walk in my room all of a sudden. They flip the light switch on and off, and that's what woke me up. And I turn over and I look, and there's these people in these creepy masks just in my room. And this isn't a dream, by the way. This is real life. This really happened. And a bunch of you were like, yeah, right, man. But I turned around. I was so weirded out. I'm like, what is happening? What's going on? And they're like singing this creepy song, and I'm just like, oh, what drug did I accidentally take last night? I was so confused. And then they took off their masks. It's all these kids I recognized from high school, and they're like, hey man, you made the chamber choir. I was just like, are you serious? Like, this is so cool. And so I see a bunch of my other friends that had just come to my room. I think I was the last stop. And so like one of my other friends, Chris, he was there. Joseph, a different Joseph than the one I said earlier, he was there. And, you know, and we all met at IHOP eventually. Like our little group that picked me up, we arrived, and there were these other groups of students that arrived at IHOP at it was like 6 in the morning at this time. And we were all there just to enjoy the fact that we had just made chamber, and it was an amazing experience because I hadn't heard of that tradition before. I had no idea it was happening. It was such a surprise. It was an amazing feeling. And, you know, chamber choir was, you know, it was hard. It took a lot of hard work, but it was a lot of fun. I'm so glad I had the experience to be in there. And I also was in it senior year. And so I remember because as a junior, I had to try out again so that I would make it senior year, and I did. I made it senior year. And I remember in the callbacks for senior year, there was this one part of this one song that this other kid in our choir, I won't say his name in case he's listening to this, I want him to get embarrassed, but there was this one note that he couldn't hit, and then a bunch of other people were singing it. They just couldn't get the note right. And I saw it, it was like I knew what it was. I saw the note, I knew how to sing it. And so and it was kind of high, but I sang it, it was perfect, and everyone's like, yeah! And even Mrs. Warby's like, That's how it's done, basses. Learn from Chris Bean. And I felt so good. I was like, man, like not in a prideful way, but I was just like, oh man, this makes me so happy. I'm an example, you know? And so that was cool. And then, you know, same deal. Although senior year, it was different than when I was in it as a junior because a lot more people, a lot more of my peers, people from my class were in it. And that was cool, being able to go and see their faces. I remember my friend Chad, he made it, and I went to go run at him to give him a hug, and for some reason he got scared and ran away. I was like, what are you afraid of? You're so much bigger than me, and I'm not going to like tackle you, I'm just going to hug you. He's probably just waking up still. He's like, but that was fun. And then so when I was a senior in chamber, I got to go to the top of the, I got to sit on the top of like the trophy shelf and look down at the students that are trying out and like kind of be a judge, and kind of help decide who, well, I mean, Mrs. Warby pretty much had the final say in who's going to make it, but you know, we got to go up there and like write down our scores and kind of compare it with Mrs. Warby's, and we got to sign our name on the top of the thing. Like it was a really cool experience. I'm very, very glad about all that. And I made some lifelong friends through choir and high school. It was just amazing experience. And yeah, we did a lot of performances. You know, we went to choir tour. Such amazing experiences. I'll have to talk about some of my choir tour stories, but yes, just amazing experience in the chamber choir. And it's all thanks to, you know, an amazing choir director, Tracy Warby, just one of my heroes. The amazing classmates I had, you know, awesome bass section. You know who you are, other Chris and two Josephs, and the rest of the choir, of course. And, you know, I had a lot of friends that, you know, they didn't make the chamber choir, but they were like extremely good musicians. Like I have a friend named Sierra, a friend named Caitlin, that neither of them made the chamber choir, but they're both pretty exceptional when it comes to singing. So maybe it's just because they didn't blend or whatnot. I don't know everything or like why the Lord didn't want them to be in the chamber choir. But, you know, if you're listening to this podcast, you guys are amazing. But yeah, I love music. I took AP Music Theory, and that definitely, I can't remember a lot of the things I learned from AP Music Theory, unfortunately. Sorry, Mrs. Warby. But my perspective on music changed a lot because of that class. Like I recognized, now I recognize a lot of things in music that I don't know if I would have appreciated as much before. Like because I took AP Music Theory, I enjoy the band Rush a lot more than I probably did before that I took that class. That was a really good class. You know, I always thought it'd be fun to I talked about this before. I think it'd be fun to, you know, be in an a cappella group, but I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I sang bass all through high school. Just easily the best part to sing. I'm just kidding. Every part's awesome, except for alto 1. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, a lot of people would tell me that I'm the most random person to have a low voice, because I'm like this. I'm like this, you know, average height, like just super skinny dude that randomly has like this super low voice. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Like, I don't know why I have a low voice. Like my friend Chad, like people say Chad and I's either our bodies or our voices got switched or something. Because Chad's like a bigger guy, you know, he's taller, he has a lot more muscle, but he has like a much higher voice. And then I'm a skinny dude that just has like a really low voice. But yeah, I don't know. Choir was awesome. And I love music. I remember when I first got an MP3 player, it was when I was in 7th grade. I got an MP3 player just because, you know, I like music. I thought it'd be good to be able to listen to music, and I'm so glad that I had one, because there's so much music. Like, my taste in music has really been refined a lot since 7th grade. And first, I'm gonna talk about a new sponsor I have. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No one's sponsoring me. Who am I kidding? I'm doing this all for free. But anyway, dumbest joke of the week. So first, I'll talk about like my philosophy about music, and then I'll talk about what music groups I like and why, or excuse me, what music groups I absolutely and completely and utterly love, and why I love them. So let's see, I wrote a paper here. I wrote a paper. No, I wrote some things down on a paper so I can remember. Well, first of all, you can tell a lot about somebody by the music that they like. Like, I know I'm gonna get along with somebody that enjoys music from like the 70s and the 80s. Like, really, no matter what group it is, like if they like old classics like that, we're gonna get along just fine. And even if it's like more modern music, if you listen to like Imagine Dragons, who, they have quite a few songs that are inspirational, that like feel good songs, especially from their last album. That's cool. Or like, more upbeat, uplifting music. You can bet that that's kind of how they are in real life. I know some people that listen to music that they shouldn't listen to just because it has like profanity and whatnot. And I can tell that has an impact on their life. Like, hearing music that has like this, just all this profanity and like bad messages, that's not good. Like, I own a few Linkin Park songs, and I'm not trying to bash on Linkin Park, but if you've heard their music, you know what their music's about. A lot of it's just like really depressing, and you don't feel very good listening to it. It's just like dark, and it's like, it's not good, And with like profanity and stuff, in my opinion, that's just like a cheap way to get people to listen to your music. It's like, if you feel like profanity is what's going to draw people to your kind of music, then you shouldn't be making music, because that's not art. That's just like, here's some swearing, and here I'm just singing about like doing naughty things, money, drugs, sex, like like all these things. Like, if that's what you can only sing about, you need to stop making music. But and even like just harmless love songs, it's like, just sing about something else. Like, there's other things to sing about. But yes, you can tell a lot about someone by the music they like. Like, I don't trust people that don't have like a favorite kind of music. Like, people that are just like, yeah, I'll listen to anything. It's like, what do you mean you'll listen to anything? Like, that means you could listen to nothing and be perfectly fine. Like there is music for everybody. Like, there is a type of music that is meant for people. It's like, I feel like finding your favorite kind of music is like discovering who you are. It should be a part of everybody's journey in life, in my opinion, is finding out what kind of music they like. And fortunately, I'm blessed with parents that raised me right, and I listen to mainly 80s music, 70s music, and that's pretty much that's the music I love. That's, in my opinion, that is the music with the most heart and soul, is the music from the 80s and the 70s. And I mean, I don't mean to crap all over music nowadays. Like, there's plenty of good music now, One of my favorite artists is Josh Groban. He's been making music since, early 2000s, and still is making music. He's good, Imagine Dragons, they're pretty good. Piano Guys, exceptional group. Coldplay, exceptional. But like, it's really hard to displease me with music from the 80s and the 70s. Yes, and anyway, and like I was saying, there's so much music out there. There's so many different genres and artists, like topics that are sung about. Like, it might be a long journey, and this isn't a reference to the band Journey, which, by the way, is an exceptional band, definitely one of the greatest. It is like finding what kind of music you love is important, and everybody should pursue that quest, finding out what music is for them. Like, I know my father, he loves Rush, he loves the Gypsy Kings, music like that. My mom likes the 80s music, Bon Jovi, things like that. I have a bunch of friends that they love that group 21 Pilots, which I actually really dislike. Although I love their song Hometown. That I enjoy that one. Pretty much every one of their other songs I just absolutely hate. But I don't need to get into that. I've already lost a few friends just by saying that. But so, in my opinion, what makes music good is the ability to make music where it's obvious that you're not just trying to impress people, but you're trying to genuinely express certain emotions, certain ideas, beliefs, things like that. Like a perfect example of this is Owl City's latest album, Cinematic. It is, Adam Young, if you're listening to this podcast, I would love to have you on this podcast, by the way. I feel like if there's any mainstream artist out there, you're my best shot at getting in contact with. So if you happen to be listening to this, I'll even send you an email. I promise, everyone listening to this email, I will send Adam Young an email or something asking if he'd be willing to get on my podcast. It'll probably never happen in a million years, but I'm going to do it. I promise. I'm committing to this. Anyway. His album, Cinematic, it's basically like a time capsule. Like, every song on the album, you can tell it's from his heart. Like, sure, it's he puts in the electronics and whatnot, which are really cool to listen to. But he has certain songs in there that are just he's literally singing about his childhood, life experiences. Like, The 5th of July is a fantastic song from that album. Be Brave, phenomenal song. Everyone should look this up. Be Brave by Owl City, just so awesome. And a song called Madeline Island, which is, again, just incredible song. Montana, Firebird. Oh, Not All Heroes Wear Capes, where he's singing about his father and how he looks up to him so much. It's just, that album is like the epitome of what all music should be. It's just I don't care what people, what people are looking for in music. This is me. This is how I feel, and this is how I'm sharing my thoughts with the world. And I feel like people will listen to your music if that's what you do. You have 21 Pilots where, the lead singer, he is doing that, but it's really artistic and I don't know, it's kind of weird for me. It doesn't really capture everybody's attention. But Owl City, it's it's straightforward, it's from the heart, just very pleasing to the ear and the soul and heart and mind, might and strength. Just kidding, all you scripture nerds out there. But anyway, yeah, and one of the reasons I love the band Rush is that their lyrics are they're not just I love you, baby, just really cheesy, never heard this before, Rush always sings about things where you're I have no idea what's going on, but this is awesome. You know, sometimes they're singing about sci-fi, sometimes they're singing about like interesting like ideas or concepts. Like their song Middletown Dreams, it's a really awesome, it's a sick song. Everyone should listen to it. But it's a song that's basically about people in this little town, kind of in the middle of nowhere, I would imagine. And, you know, they have these dreams, but they feel like they're just cooped up in this town, but they feel like their dreams can travel still. Like their dreams go across the heartland, are the lyrics of the song. Or dreams flow across the heart. I need to listen to that song and get re-educated on the lyrics. But just like, I love that whole idea. Like, I've never heard a song like that before. And just like pretty much all their music. Neil Peart, just fantastic drummer and fantastic lyricist. And another reason I like the band Rush is because each member of their band has been individually recognized for their talent. Like, it's not just like the band as a whole is exceptional, which is also true, but each member of the band, like the three main ones that have stuck around, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and Neil Peart, each one of them has been individually recognized for their talent. And I think that's really cool. And you can tell like that they're a band. Like none of this One Direction business where it's like, Zayn left. Like those three, I mean, this is kind of sacrilegious, but they're considered in the rock and roll community like the trinity of like rock and roll. And I think to some degree that's true. Not so much the trinity part, like don't worship false idols, people, but like they really are like just exceptional figures in the rock and roll and music industry. And that group's awesome. Neil Peart, just fantastic drummer. He is easily, with the tied for first, Phil Collins, the world's greatest drummer of all time. If you haven't already listened to YYZ, the Exit Stage Left drum solo, listen to it. Look it up on YouTube. You won't regret it. So incredible. But I love that group. Just incredible. One of my favorite groups is, I love Def Leppard. They're not terribly like, they're not a terribly deep group or like thought-provoking, but their music's it's just fun to listen to. Like Rocket, just like their drums. I don't know, just so good. And you can tell they have fun when they perform because they're always like, yeah. And I love that about them. Kind of the same with Bon Jovi. They're not terribly, well, actually, let me rephrase that. I'd say Bon Jovi has a lot more like uplifting songs than Def Leppard. They're both amazing groups. Like Bon Jovi, you know, they've got the famous Living on a Prayer, you know. They got a song that's underrated called Army of One. Very good. This House Is Not for Sale, Roller Coaster. Those are some of their newer ones. They're a fun group to listen to. Bon Jovi, very good. Journey, exceptional group. You know, you got Don't Stop Believin', and it's like, that's a good song, but that doesn't even scratch the surface of like what Journey is capable of. Because you got songs like Only the Young by Journey is probably, that's easily my favorite Journey song. I love that song. I feel like I'm just like soaring through the air whenever I listen to that song. Only the young. Everyone should listen to that. That's my horrible Steve Perry impersonation. I'm actually going to edit that out so you won't hear it. No, I'm just kidding. That wouldn't even make sense. If you heard me say that, okay, anyway. What other groups do I like that I could go into? I'm going to say Phil Collins for last because he's my favorite artist of all time, and I'll explain why. But, one of my favorite groups, Owl City, like I said before. His music's very genuine. Sometimes he makes a song like Vanilla Twilight, perfect example, or like Strawberry Avalanche. You just hear those songs and you're like, Man, I don't know what the heck this guy's talking about, but he's a wizard with the electronics. But a lot of his music is just very uplifting. Like, one of my favorite Owl City songs is, why can't I remember it? Oh, This Isn't the End. It's a song about a girl whose father had committed suicide. It's very sad, but it's basically singing like, hey, you know what? This isn't it, you know? Like, this isn't the end. You're gonna see him again, you know? You're gonna keep moving on with life. You're gonna keep doing your best. I highly recommend everyone listen to that song. It's very uplifting. And the thing I love about Owl City, Adam Young, the guy behind Owl City, Owl City's kind of like a one-man band scenario. Adam Young, he's not afraid to sing about what he believes. Like, you know, he has strong faith in God and Jesus Christ, and he sings about that. He sings about how much he believes in God, and I think that is so cool. It's like he's not afraid, and his music is very genuine, and that's why I love it so much. Some of his earlier stuff is like, okay, this is interesting, you know, just like fun little electronic, catchy music, but it really improves with time, Owl City, in my opinion. I feel like he matures as an artist. Like probably from All Things, is it All Things Bright and Beautiful? I know that's a hymn. Is that the name of his album? I can't remember. Brandon would know. I'll ask Brandon. But I think from that album and up is really when his music got really good. But Owl City's incredible. Coldplay is exceptional, in my opinion. I have a friend that just like hates Coldplay for no reason, and that makes me upset. I try not to get upset, but I am upset about that. I'm like, why? Why do you just hate them? They're not a group that people just hate, or at least they shouldn't be. The reason I love Coldplay is that they have a lot of music that it makes you feel like you're kind of just contemplating life. Like, they have a song called, I'm sure everyone's familiar with Coldplay's song Clocks. You know, it's you know, it's like just kind of, the chords are interesting, and they make you, it feels like you're contemplating life. And they have a lot of music like that. I think it's really cool. And the thing with Chris Martin, the lead singer of Coldplay, is he, even when he's hitting those high notes and he's belting, he never sounds like he's like screaming like like Nickelback. Look at this graph. If anyone's seen that Vine, good for you. But, and by the way, I'm not one of those people that just hates Nickelback for no reason. I enjoy them. But anyway, his voice is very pleasant to listen to. You know, he's a Brit. What's not to like about a Brit's accent? His voice is soothing. He has a song called All I Can Think About Is You. That's what it's called. And it's cool, you know, it's like really, it's got this like, just like simple bass line. And then like, you know, eventually it moves on to this like insane piano part, electric guitars happening in the back, and you're just like, I don't know what's happening, but I love it. And it's really cool. I love Coldplay, and they have a lot of uplifting music. Coldplay does. Like, they have Up and Up, such a good one. Paradise, Fix You, just like, they're so good. I need to listen to Coldplay. Oh, another good Coldplay song, Sky Full of Stars. Oh, that's so good. It's in my favorite key, F sharp major or G flat, you know, whatever floats your boat. But yeah, Coldplay's good. The Killers. Oh man, I would be doing people a disservice if I didn't mention the Killers. The Killers are easily one of the greatest bands of all time, because Brandon Flowers is amazing. He grew up in Las Vegas, and that's when his band, The Killers, got big, was in Las Vegas, you know, and he started out as kind of like this cocky musician who didn't really treat members of other groups very well. But he turned out, and he's talked about this in interviews before. He's matured a lot since then, and he looks back and he says, like, I had a lot of pride as a youth, like a younger person, and he kind of regrets that. And the thing about Brandon Flowers is he's a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. By the way, I'm going to keep saying the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because our church leaders have asked us not to use the term LDS or Mormon as often, but to just talk about the church in the way of it being the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So if anyone's getting bothered by that, tough luck, deal with it. Suck it up, as they say. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, Brandon Flowers, he's a member of our church, and he's active. I mean, I read in an article that, he still goes to church every week. He does his best to, fast whenever it's Fast Sunday. Sometimes he forgets to or whatnot, but, he goes to church, and I think that's awesome. He doesn't let the musician life bog him down from his religion. It's still important to him, and I think that's incredible, and I wish more people would follow him in that regard. But the thing with the Killers is that pretty much all their music, especially their most recent music, it's kind of the same with Owl City and the Killers, is that, the early music, it's like they're just trying to get noticed. It's like, here's Mr. Brightside and Somebody Told Me and whatnot, which are fun songs. But then you get to like the Killers' latest album, Wonderful, Wonderful, which truly is that. It is wonderful. He has stated that a lot of the songs from that album are based off of his wife's struggles with like PTSD, I think, something like that. And a lot of the songs, you can hear that he's telling a story, like it's coming from his heart. And I think that's just so cool. And the thing with the Killers is that you listen to them, you feel like you're driving down a desert road in Nevada with like the person you love, with like this sunset happening. That's the feeling I get every time I listen to the Killers. Ryan, I'm sure you know this feeling. He also loves the Killers. Shout out to Ryan, who I mentioned earlier, but the Killers are awesome. I'm trying to think who else I love, because I don't want to miss anybody. Let's see. I'm going to go to my music app. Let's see, is it still recording even though I'm doing that? Okay, it is. Hopefully it doesn't cut out or anything. I'm not going to play any music. I'm just going to go through the artists and make sure I didn't miss anyone. There's ABBA, gotta love ABBA. Alex Boyer, fantastic musician. Beach Boys, again. Hey, any group that has a song called Salt Lake City, I love you. Although, I gotta say, I'm not a huge fan of Salt Lake City itself, but hey, it's in Utah. That's cool. Brandon Flowers, like I said. Killers and his solo stuff, very good. Bryan Adams, very good, very good. The Carpenters, love that group. Coldplay, I already talked about them. Def Leppard. I'll give a shout out to David Archuleta. The Eagles. Oh, the Eagles are just exceptional. I love the Eagles. I can't say that Hotel California is my favorite Eagles song, but it's a good one still. It's still really good. I really like Take It Easy and Already Gone. Those are good ones. Erasure. That's a fun group. Enya. Ooh. Enya is a fantastic group because it's just so soothing, So you got music kind of like Wild Child, where it's like, okay, this song isn't for everybody. But they got some like Drifting from her, one of her albums. I can't remember what it's called, but Drifting, that's such a pleasing song. Guns N' Roses, funny group. Huey Lewis and the News, that is a fun group. Like, how can you not dance when you listen to Huey Lewis and the News? Imagine Dragons, oh, they're good. They're a good group. I'm just looking through my favorite artists to see. Let's see, Bon Jovi, The Killers, Lindsey Sterling. Oh, Lindsey Sterling's music is so awesome. I love Lindsey Sterling. Super Mario Galaxy soundtrack, highly recommend that. Men at Work. I only have 2 Men at Work songs, but both of them I love. Who can it be now? Let's see. I'm just laughing at some groups. I have, let's see, yeah, Owl City, Phil Collins. Oh, yeah. REO Speedwagon, or Rio Speedwagon, as the ignoramuses call it. Rhett and Link. Shout out to Rhett and Link. They got some good music, y'all. Especially their Tongue of the Cobra. Oh, man. They nailed the 80s sound on that one. Very good. Rush, I already talked about them. Seal. What an underrated musician. Seal. I love Seal's music. So good. Steve Perry. Styx. Very good. Sting. I only have one Sting song, and it's Fields of Gold, but that is a good song. Tears for Fears, very good. Toto. Oh, U2. I love U2. Very good. Very good group. A group I want to talk about is Walk the Moon. They do, they make alternative music now, but a lot of their songs have kind of an 80s feel, and I think that's really cool. Okay, looks like I'm kind of running out of time, so I'm going to talk about Phil Collins, and then I'll just talk about work a little bit at the end. Phil Collins, oh man, I love his style of drumming. He's a wizard at the drums. Like, I can't say he's as talented as Neil Peart, just because Neil Peart can just play like, he sounds like he has like 10 arms. He can just play so fast. But Phil Collins, he has a very unique style of drums that is very pleasing to me. Like, it really comes out in his song In the Air Tonight, because it's kind of like this, like, chill, slow paced song, and then out of nowhere, just doom 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 doom, and you're just blown away, like, whoa! Like, usually when people get face melted, it's because of an intense guitar solo, but that part is probably face melting worthy, in my opinion. Like Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark face melting status. And like in his song Don't Lose My Number, just like, I don't know, listen to Phil Collins. If you're not familiar with Phil Collins, in my opinion, that's like not being familiar with like a flat screen TV. Like, you are missing out. And the thing I love about Phil Collins is that I feel like each one of his songs is different. Like, he never, like, he has a bunch of love songs, but it's like each one's different than the last one, though. And whatever Phil Collins sings about, like, I believe him. Like, I end up believing him. Like, I don't care anymore. It's just like, oh, okay, wow. I believe you. You do not care anymore. And I know that wasn't the right pitch for those picky, perfect pitch people. But anyway, I love Phil Collins' voice. When I ascend up into heaven, I want Phil Collins to be playing the drums. Like, I want him to be there, because, I mean, I'm not trying to jump to conclusions, but he's probably going to pass away before I do. And I want him to be up there with a drum set in heaven, just like playing his heart out. And I love Phil Collins. Like, if you can't tell, I love Phil Collins. Hopefully these dramatic sighs will convey that. One quick thing about Def Leppard that's awesome is that Def Leppard has a one-armed drummer. How is that not the coolest thing ever? But yes, music is so important. Everyone needs to find the kind of music that they love. Because it's not about just something you do while you're doing something else, although that is one use of music. But it's like, what do you want to feed your soul? And that's why I'm so opposed to listening to music that has a lot of profanity and like bad messages, because it's like, that's gonna be in your brain. Like, the song's gonna get stuck in your head. You're gonna end up having thoughts like that and believing that. And like, one of the best ways to help me when I'm not feeling so good, if my mind allows it to help me, is music. I'll flip on some Owl City, very inspirational. Some Like, I'll listen to On My Way, the Phil Collins song from Brother Bear. Very good. Like, music is so important. I guess if there's something to be learned, like some moral lesson to learn, when I said moral lesson just barely, my brain thought of this chord from a Rush song. I'm not kidding around. Like, the pitch of that word. That's that's one of the curses of perfect pitch. Is just you're constantly like, but anyway, when you listen to music, fill your soul with music that will leave a good impact on you. Like, I'm proud of all the music I listen to. I'm not ashamed. Like, I'm going to be honest, there's a couple songs I listen to that have like one D word or like one H word or something. And used in like a swearing way. And it's like, oh, it's such a guilty pleasure, you know? It's such a good song where it's like, I don't condone swearing. I don't know. Like, everybody's their own judge, you know? Just make sure you don't listen to music that like makes you feel like junk, you know? And like, oh, I guess I gotta talk about the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Like, they're very underrated, especially from my generation. I love their music. It's so very uplifting. Even if nobody's like, even if no one listening to this is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you gotta check out the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, because they've sung plenty of music that isn't just songs we sing in our church. It's just general uplifting music. Definitely worth checking out. And they didn't even pay me to tell that. You should check out their music. None of these people paid me to say this. Obviously, I mean, I'm not famous or anything, but anyway, yeah, I better wrap it up. My phone's telling me I'm getting close to the hour mark, and that's when it'll stop recording. So anyway, yes, music, just so good. Music really is wealth for me. And I'm not talking like I bought an album for $9.99 and I have $9.99 worth of music. No, I'm talking about like each kind of music has its own worth. Like Justin Bieber album, sorry, if you love Justin Bieber, I'm sorry, that's cheap music. But then you got exceptional music like Rush or Owl City or the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, Journey, Bon Jovi, like any group that has uplifting music, like that is wealthy. Like that is wealth. I truly feel like I'm like the wealthiest person on earth when it comes to owning music. But anyway, yes, that is how I feel about music. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm going to try and get another episode out soon. Yes.